which kind of fits this whole Brookings Institution scenario to put the blame for any conflict upon Iran. And this is how it works in the background, manipulating public perception to accept what the agenda wants. This is why all the propaganda against Gaddafi at the time, all the propaganda against Assad, that's what it's all about. All the propaganda against Saddam Hussein about weapons of mass destruction that could strike British targets in 45 minutes, justify an invasion. It's all a perception deception. And so let's come back to Trump. You have a situation where this man is perceived to be different and outside the system. I mean, don't start me laughing, I'll never stop. And yet what we're seeing is a continuation of the same theme and the same countries being targeted that has passed through Boy Bush, Obama, and to Trump. And, you know, people in the alternative media who have campaigned against certain things and exposed certain things over the years, they really do need to rub their eyes and refocus on what they're now supporting. We have a situation where Goldman Sachs has been given the economic control of the United States. We've had these military people given these what should be civilian posts. We've got Trump talking about torture is justified, demonizing Iran on the way to seeking conflict with them, and you know, causing chaos. And as I said in last week's videocast, chaos is the currency of these people. They want chaos so that they can offer the order out of the chaos, which is to transform society in the way they want it to change. It's what might be called creative destruction. You destroy the status quo through chaos, whatever that status quo is. You then change the status quo. You then creatively destroy that status quo, and so it goes on. And at each new status quo, the world has changed. There's no two greater examples than the world wars in the 20th century. The First World War vastly changed and creatively destroyed the status quo that had been before. And then the Second World War came along and destroyed the status quo that had followed the First World War. And we're just seeing the continuation of this. And you see, this is the danger. I'm not even saying that Trump is fully aware of what's going on. He probably isn't. But the people around him are. The people in the shadows that control the people around him are. And what they have now in the White House is an extreme narcissist with an ego so big and so fragile that he can't let criticism on Twitter go, or criticism by some celebrity go, without having to react to it. This is not what mature, secure people do. And so because of his lack of awareness of the whole political system, he'll have some from his life in business, but I mean really deeply. And because of his narcissistic, egotistical, reactive behavior, the big I am, he is a manipulator's party trick. I mean, if you gave a manipulator a blank sheet of paper and said, describe your ideal person to manipulate, they would draw a picture of Donald Trump. And we need to, those that support Trump need to see this. And those that don't support Trump also need to get informed about how the world really works, instead of just reacting to it in this two-party left-right manner. We need to take a step back and see the left-right nonsense as just an irrelevance to anything that's going to change anything. Because that left-right us and them structure mentality is what's holding people in this illusion where nothing changes. And if you look at it, it's like an electrical system where both sides need each other. You know, you've got one polarity, the progressives, and then you've got the other polarity, which are basically now the Trump supporters. And they create, by their resistance, they talk about resistance, well, it is an electrical circuit is made between the two, and the electrical circuit goes on doing this and changes nothing, but creates the very upheaval that the hidden hand wants to justify more and more of the police state and the surveillance state. And that's another thing. When you look at Sessions, Trump's, it could be Bush's involved there. When you look at him as Attorney General and his attitudes to human rights and freedoms, what we're also going to see through this Bush, these are Freudian slips, but they're very apt, because I could have said Trump there, and I could have said Bush, and I could have said Obama. Tragically, that's how it works. And we're going to see through this Trump administration also, justified by law and order, more and more advances of this surveillance state and this police state, not least now. They have a military man running Homeland Security. So on the day that Bush was, I've said it again, Bush, Obama, Trump, on the day that Trump was elected, I said that it was a primal scream for help by vast numbers of Americans who had been ignored decade after decade. But that they were voting for an illusion that Trump was not what he claimed to be. We're now starting to see that already. But I said I hoped that the experience of seeing the Trump illusion unfold would lead people to the next stage, which is the realization that this rigged political system of left, right, Democrat, Republican, conservative, Labour, whatever country, whatever parties, this rigged system is never going to change anything for the better. And thus we have the realization that there are billions of us and a very few who are in full awareness manipulating those billions towards the end that the books expose in detail. And if we stop cooperating by not following the diktats of these people when they impose and impinge upon our freedoms and basic justice and fairness, then we take their power away. We have the power, but we give it away in acquiescence to that which we think has the power. The only power they have is the power that we give them day after day after day. We need to take it back and start saying we're not having it. Not by voting for Trump or voting for Clinton, it's going to change nothing, but by refusing to cooperate with what the system seeks to impose upon us. Do that, and we'll get somewhere.